All right, so yeah, hi everyone. My name is Dr. Simon Wang. I'm from the Language Center. I'm doing this video to invite you to consider taking GCAP 3056. This is a GE course. I know it's a little bit too, maybe it's a little bit late, but I hope you can still take a look and watch this video so you can learn more about this course and hopefully you will find it interesting. So GCAP 3056 is a general education course, capstone course mainly for year 3 students, even though even if you're a year 2 student, you can still take the course if you're interested. You need to get approval from me, but of course, I welcome you to take the course. And if you are final year students, you took the GCAP course before, if you find it interesting, you can still take the course as a free elective. So either way, it's completely open. And so basically, this is actually a award-winning course. My colleague Ben from the English department, me from Language Center, we jointly earned this award, GE Teaching Award, Team Teaching from university last year. So that's a recognition suggesting this is actually a very good and valuable course, very good experience. And also, I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome virtual exchange students from other parts of the world enrolled in a virtual exchange program at the university to also consider taking this course. So the basic idea is that we want to investigate some government programs, the programs or projects of Hong Kong government, which intend to address some social problems or social issues. But the assumption is that this programs actually needs some improvement. So we're going to try to critically review the programs or the projects. But we can't just rely on the information we get from the internet, right? Of course, we have to do the basic research. We have to go to the government website. We read through all the documents we can find online, but that's not sufficient. Our kind of secret weapon is that we're going to cite this Code on Access to Information, which is similar to Freedom of Information Act in some other countries. So we're going to write to the government, some specific departments or bureau and say, look, we want to know more about these programs or projects that you have been working on to address a social problem. So please answer my questions and under the Code on Access to Information. And because there's this code in place, the government staff will have to respond to our request within a specific time frame, usually within 3 weeks. And so through this approach, we will be able to get information that's not otherwise publicly available. So based on that information we get from the government, then we can do a bit more analysis. We can also look at the research literature, look at the practices of other countries. So we will be able to develop an argument. And that argument can then be published in the newspaper, South China Morning Post. So that's the only sort of the newspaper of the record in English nowadays in Hong Kong. And in the past 2 or 3 years, the students taking my course actually published more than nearly 100 letters. Okay, so it's a very impressive accomplishment. So if you take this course, you also get the opportunity to publish a letter to the editor in the South China Morning Post, usually with another student partner. So you work as a team. Right. So yeah, I hope this sounds interesting. And so people sometimes ask me, are there any specific projects or topics that I have to choose from? Well, at the beginning of the semester, we do offer some options. So if you want to look at some of the topics or issues or projects that we propose, we suggest you can work on. Of course, you can do that, but you can also actually you are encouraged to look into some issues and projects or programs that you find particularly relevant to your disciplines, because this is a course that we intend to bridge the gap between the theories, the research that people are doing in a university and actually the practical problems or or issues that we have to deal with in our society. So that's the reason why it will be really helpful if you could kind of look at this different issues from your disciplinary perspective. So I'm going to share the screen, and I am going to look at two specific letters that students published. Before I do that, I just want to very quickly go through this post that I talk about. I introduced the course. So some of the highlights of this course, which is something I discussed earlier. We're going to engage the government staff to learn more about the policy and programs, mainly by writing to them and requesting information under the Code on Access to Information. And we are also going to work very closely. You're going to work with group members, with me or Ben, and to build very strong arguments on practical issues. You can join the conversation about the public affairs by writing for the public, for the newspaper. We will have taken a STEM seminars, so you get a chance to meet with some community leaders, so they can share their insights about some social issues. And we're also going to have field trips, okay? And so these are all very fun, and hopefully you will find it very enjoyable as well. Okay, so I will, as I said, we published many letters, and this is the website. I will share the link, and it's cvwritingforhk.com. And one of the letter I'd like to share here, it's about gender pay gap. All right, so gender pay gap is a well-known issue. Women in general are paid less than men in terms of hourly rate, or within the organizations, men sometimes usually hold more kind of higher, more powerful positions, better paid positions. And this issue has been kind of receiving a lot of attention in some European countries, like in the UK. The British government has required all the organizations with more than 250 employees to disclose their gender pay gap on an annual basis. So we look at that, and we found one example which is particularly interesting is BBC, because BBC is a government-funded organization, radio and TV station. So we're thinking maybe we could also look at the case of Hong Kong government, and we pick one particular government department, which is Radio Television Hong Kong, because we feel like Radio Television Hong Kong is kind of comparable to BBC in one or another. So that's why we focus on RTHK, and we wrote to them, and we requested data and information about kind of the pay of their staff. Of course, we cannot know the details like the individual staff members' pay, but instead we look at the pay scale. So there's the 0.0 all the way to 0.49 or something. So we asked the RTHK Radio Television Hong Kong to provide the data in terms of the number of male and female staff members at each scale level, so we can do a quick math and to calculate the gender pay gap. All right, so that's what we did, and this is kind of an important point I want to make here, is that we could request information that's not publicly available under the Code on Access to Information. That would enable us to develop a very interesting and insightful argument about this issue. So that's basically one of the key kind of strategies, and also what we call the secret weapons of this course. And you will have a lot of fun, communicating with the government staff, and you will be able to get some insightful information this way. But very surprisingly, the outcome of our analysis is actually women are paid more than men in this particular government department, RTHK. Okay, so we have to kind of change our narrative a little bit, and we have to say, look, RTHK was actually doing a pretty good job in terms of not just closing the gender pay gap, but it's like women were paid more than men, which is kind of defying the trend or the stereotype. But I think the more significant lesson we can learn from this particular case study is that it is actually feasible for us to look at each and every government department in Hong Kong and to investigate their gender pay gap. And presumably we are able to probably generate a much bigger, larger report on the gender pay gap of the Hong Kong government. So I'm pretty sure that overall, within the whole Hong Kong government and also in most of the departments and bureaus, probably men are still paid more than women. Okay, so I hope this case can illustrate how by doing project in this course, we will be able to kind of investigate a very practical and interesting social problem, and we're able to join the conversation about this issue by writing in a newspaper. Okay, so I'm going to move on, and I will talk about another letter, and this is a letter published by two students. I believe both of them are. I think one of them is from School of Communication, majoring in journalism, and the other is from business school. Okay, and this particular letter is about green finance in general, because nowadays we're all talking about achieving carbon neutrality. All the major economic powers promise to achieve carbon neutrality. And obviously, if we want to decarbonize the economy, we have to take away the resources from the fossil fuel industry, because if more resources available for fossil fuel industry, then there will be less kind of incentive for people to reduce the reliance on this industry or on these power sources. So the idea is that we need to kind of divest from this industry, and if you look at the end of the letter, we actually have an example here that Harvard University have decided to end its endowment investment in fossil fuels. But well, I'm not going to get into the details, but our concern is that here in Hong Kong is one of the international financial center and also capital markets, and the Hong Kong government, especially the Security and Future Commission, as well as the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, has required investors, the people who invested a certain amount of money. I think it's probably more than 800 million Hong Kong dollars or US dollars. They have to disclose the carbon emission of the companies that invested in. So in a way, it's to push them to be more socially responsible, to keep an eye on the carbon emission of these investees. But one of the problem with this approach is that actually they missed all these fossil fuel suppliers, right? Because the fossil fuel suppliers, they provide all the fossil fuels, but they didn't really kind of release a lot of carbon dioxide themselves. I don't know about the operations of this fossil fuel industry, but presumably compared to the fossil fuel they supplied, their own carbon emission or carbon footprint may not be that large. But the problem is that under this current disclosure scheme, these companies, that invested in the fossil fuel industry, they're not going to be held accountable. They don't even have to disclose their portfolio regarding, how much money they put in the fossil fuel industry. So our argument here, based on the information we gathered from the Security Future Commission and also Hong Kong Monetary Authority, as well as some other documents, research we have done, eventually we build this argument and say, look, if we really want to encourage more investors to stay away from fossil fuel industry, then we have to change our policy. We have to start, require more disclosure regarding this particular kind of investment. All right. So I do hope that you can see, a wide range of topics and issues that we are able to address and explore in our course, right? So there are many other examples I can cite, but these two examples would give you some ideas in terms of the kind of problems and issues that we could deal with. And just to maybe offer you the third example, here in Hong Kong, the government has got this what we call the open data portal. Each and every government department bureau is expected to release some data every year for the community. So there's actually a huge amount of data being released, machine readable. This is so-called open data movement. But then if you look at the community part, you can see there's only about 35 applications that take advantage of this data. That number speaks itself. It suggests that even though we do have a data portal, we do have like an open data policy or whatever for the government departments and bureaus to adapt and to implement, this data is not that useful. So one of the very interesting questions for us to investigate, to explore, is in what ways that the government can produce or release more useful data that the community can really take advantage of and build more useful applications to improve our quality of life. So that would be a very interesting issue of questions for anyone with science backgrounds or from School of Communication, journalism, or anyone with an interest in data science can take this course and do a project on that. Okay, so I do hope that you will find this course interesting, and do talk to me if you have any questions about this course. And some students are concerned about the grading. How lenient or strict am I or my colleague as a grader, as a marker. I can give you a kind of a ballpark number. In the past, roughly 25 to 30% of the students taking this course will get an A or A minus. But we are reviewing our grading mechanism, so you might expect the number could decrease a little bit. But of course, it's still kind of case by case basis, because sometimes we got very strong students with strong academic performance and very good at work ethics, doing very well, then they will get a grade they deserve. Okay, so I hope that makes sense, and do come to talk to me and learn more about this course. And even if you find that the schedule does not work very well, then you can still consider joining an independent study project with me, so we can still maybe do a project without getting a credit. Okay, so yeah, thank you for your time, and hope I can see you sometime in future.